Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Vedya by Tanvi. So, in continuation to our series, we are back with another special guest from a top B school on our channel who will share some insights about their journey at IIM and hopefully will also give us some useful tips on how you can also crack into these B schools. So today we have Miss Aastha Tiwari on our channel. She has done an MBA from a college which is widely acclaimed as the best institute, that is IIM Ahmedabad, and she is currently working as a product manager at Microsoft. And I'm really thankful that she took time out from her busy schedule and share her learnings with other aspirants. So, hey Astha, thanks for joining us and thanks for accepting our invite. So, let's start with your introduction first. So, tell us something about yourself.
Hey, hi Tanvi. Thank you for inviting me and having me here. So yeah, you have like introduced myself like quite well. So I'll break down my introduction into two parts. Professionally, right now I'm working as a product manager in Microsoft, and I'm an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad and a computer science engineer from Banasthi University. I have around 8 years of experience, and Microsoft is my fourth organization. And personally, I belong to Lucknow, and right now I am based out of Noida.
Okay, great. Okay, so after having experienced the tech world, at what point did you realize that maybe you should go for MBA? And in other words, what was your motivation behind going for MBA?
Okay, so I had like 5 years of experience when I decided that I should pursue MBA. And what motivated me was after completing 5 years in tech industry, I had already worked in two organizations. I thought that most of my knowledge and experience is on the technical side of things. I know what technology should be used, how to optimize an algorithm, how should I research, or how should I design a system. But still, I don't know how finances of an organization work, or what goes behind procuring an order. How does the business development happens, right? How do you interact with clients, and how do you take care of your human capital? I was unaware about all these aspects, right? So I thought to answer all these queries or the doubts that I have in my mind, or to learn these aspects, I would need a formal education, which is obviously a MBA degree. It offers you this kind of, horizon where you get to learn about various nuances of the business. You are not stuck to a single silo of the business. So that was one motivation. Second motivation was that, I was an engineer and most of my friends were also engineers. So I mean, in my entire network, it was a very homogeneous network where everybody belonged to IT world, and they were doing something or the other in IT only, and mostly in engineering domain. I didn't have friends who were from CA background or some other backgrounds. So I thought MBA would give me an opportunity because the cohort in MBA is very diverse, right? So it will give me an opportunity to meet these people and to learn from their experiences. So the second motive was to widen my network and know different people belonging to different backgrounds. So yeah.
Yeah, very rightly said. Because in MBA, you have people from every corner of the world, from every so you get to know a lot of things apart from studies as well. Yeah, right. Okay. So like as we know that your GMAT or the CAT score is 710, so you clearly had many other options. So like what made you choose IIM Ahmedabad over the other colleges?
Okay, so I applied to 1 year MBA colleges because I was very clear that I want to pursue 1 year MBA. I had like 5 years of experience and I didn't want to devote another 2 years in college, right? And secondly, I was clear that I want to pursue MBA from India only because I wanted to settle here in long term. So I applied to IIM ABC and ISP, and I got offers from IIM-A, IIM Calcutta, and ISP Hyderabad. I was majorly confused between IIM Ahmedabad and ISP Hyderabad. Like I was kind of in a dilemma whether I should join IIM-A or I should go for ISP. So few factors which helped me take my decision was like first was the cohort size. So the PGPX cohort size in IIM-A is 140, whereas the same in ISB is 700. So I thought being with a small cohort would help me know, my peers better. It would help me in networking better with people, because networking with 700 people in a year is, next to impossible. Also, in terms of competition, I'll face less competition because it would be in between 140 people only, right? Otherwise, you have to compete with 700 people. So cohort size was one criteria. Second was the legacy of the institute. I mean, PGPX is a 15-year-old course, right? So when a course is started initially, it takes some time for that course to, be well established, be recognized in the market, or to mature. So PGPX was very well established. It was a mature course. So that was another factor. Third was the alumni network. I mean, IIM-A's alumni network, everybody knows how great it is and what benefits it reaps to you, right? So that was the third factor. And fourth was the average experience of the batch. This is very specific to ISB and IIM-A, because in ISB, the average work ex of batch is around 2 to 3 years, which is on the younger side. And in IIM-A, the average work ex of the batch is 8 years, and I had my experience on 5 years side, right? So I thought I'll get, if I join IIM, I'll get an opportunity to be with a very mature cohort, to learn from what they have already learned in in their jobs, right? Because most of them were seniors from me. So these were the few factors which helped me make my decision. So that's how I landed up in IIM.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so like moving on to the next question. So I am assuming that viewers are aware of the admission criteria and the process at IIMs. Still, for those who are unaware, let's address this question too. Also, please tell us how much importance does the interview plays in a selection criteria and how one can prepare for it.
Okay, so let's break down this question into three parts.
Yeah,
First,
sure.
about the admission process. Secondly, the interview process and the weightage. And thirdly, how you can prepare for the interview.
Okay.
Right. So I can tell you about the admission process of PGPX. Each course offered by IIM has a different admission process. But let's start. Since I am a PGPX graduate, so I can tell you about it. So admissions happen in 3 rounds. So you can apply in any of those 3 rounds, and they start in the month of June. So in June, IIMA would release a statement that they are inviting applications for PGPX, and that's how you can apply on their portal. uh, as a qualifying exam, you need a valid GMAT or GRE score, right? So, like for PGP, you need a CAT score. For
Hmm.
applying to PGPX, you need a GMAT or a GRE score. So, you fill your application, you mention your score over there, and then details about your work experience, what all organizations you have worked in, what was your role there, and what capacity you have worked there, what was the team size that you had managed earlier, right? So, this constitutes your application. Once you submit your application, the institute will shortlist some candidates out of the ones those who have applied, and you'll be asked to send an essay or a SOP. So generally they'll provide you topics like, tell us about a challenging situation that you faced during your work experience, something on those lines, right? And you'll have to write an essay about the situation that you faced and what you learned out of it. And then you're invited for interviews. So in your personal interviews, now like, and if you clear your interview, you are offered admission to the college. That's how the entire cycle works. So now coming to the interview part, right? So in interviews, they are generally divided into three. Like there'll be three stages in the interview. So interviewers are the professors from campus, from IIMA. And interviews happen in cities like Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, right? And you can even opt for appearing for an interview on campus. So
Okay.
there would be a panel of two professors, and they'll ask you to pick a chit from a bowl, and in that chit there would be a topic. It could be something related to current affairs or some abstract topic, and they'll ask you to to take some time and note down your thoughts about that topic, and then speak about it, just like an extempore, right? So on the spot you frame your thoughts, you speak about it. Then professors may have some follow-up questions, and then the discussion goes around that topic. Next, they talk about your work experience, like where you have worked, what are you doing, what are the, let's say, what is the best part about your job, what is the worst part about your job, and questions like that, which would be around your work experience. And then third part, they'll try to understand like why do you want to do MBA? Is it only because everybody is doing, you are also interested in doing MBA, or do you really know what you want to gain from, like from
Right.
your MBA degree?
Hmm.
Because, like I told you, minimum work experience required for PGPX is 4 years. So
Hmm.
they don't want anyone to come with vague expectations. Like once you have completed 4 years in industry, it is expected that you should be very clear about the path that you want to take. So that question is very important. Your motivation behind doing MBA. What do you want from institute? What do you have to offer to your cohort, right?
Hmm.
So they'll ask you these questions, and then the interview kind of closes, and
Hmm.
then accordingly the results are shared. If you've cleared the interview or not. As per weightage, so IMA has never said that interview has 50% weightage or 20%, and application will have 30% weightage. GMAT score will have different weightage. The result is a combined of all things: your score, your work profile, your essays, and your interviews. And we don't know what weightage each stage holds. So each and every stage is very important for you as an applicant, right? And third part was preparation, right?
Hmm. Right. How one can prepare for
Okay,
it. Hmm.
sure. So in terms of preparation, be very aware about the current affairs. I mean, what's happening in your country, what's happening around you, or what's happening in the world. So, like if we have to talk about recent times, so layoffs are happening everywhere, right? So, what is your
Right.
take on the layoffs? These types of questions. So, don't just know about things, but also have some opinion,
Opinion.
whether you favor it or you are opposing it,
Hmm.
something of that sort. So being thorough with current affairs is important. Being thorough with your work experience is very important. Be very clear with what you have done. Don't take things on your application because they'll catch you. If you kind of you're just faking things that I've done this and that, they'll catch you during the interview. So whatever you've written, be very thorough with it, and yeah, be confident. That's the most important thing. Be confident and be very clear on why you want to do MBA. So yeah,
After that was a very detailed, like you have given a very detailed approach to what whomsoever would watch this video will gain a lot from it. Thanks a lot. Okay,
thank you.
so like tell us something about the case-based study method, which is very popular in IIM Ahmedabad, and the subjects which are taught at IIM Ahmedabad.
Okay. So, any topic which is introduced in any subject or any course in IMA is via cases. So,
Hmm.
like, let's say tomorrow you have your strategy class, they'll give you a case to study in advance. So, today you'll read that case, you'll discuss it with your study group. And tomorrow, when you go to that class, professor will discuss that case. They'll discuss the problems the protagonist or the antagonist was facing, why
Hmm.
those problems came, how they tackled it, and towards the end of the class, they'll introduce a new concept which would directly tie to the case. But generally, in theory-based classes, concepts are introduced and then examples are cited. But here, cases are discussed first, and then in the end, the concept is introduced. So I find this way of learning very, very fruitful because it's very practical way of learning. Because it is very easy to retain stuff, when you do it in this manner. So reading a case, discussing it in class is like a story. So sometimes you are discussing, and these are all real world business problems. Sometimes you're discussing some business problem with Havels or something with Starbucks or something with Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, whatever organization be it, and their leaders. So it is very easy to remember the name of the leaders, the problems which they faced, right, and relate it to the real
Hmm.
world. As compared to theoretical learning, reading books, it is difficult to retain it for a long time, right? So I find this method really fruitful and very practical to learn your concepts.
Hmm.
Okay, and secondly, you asked about the subjects
Subject.
that are taught, right?
Ah. Hmm.
So term one and term two, all subjects are compulsory. So they would be your general business subjects like finance, accounting, HR, statistics, OB, finance markets, economics, and operations. So that you learn about the nuances of the business, right? No matter you're coming from IT background or finance background, they'll teach you all these subjects so that you get a good view of how the business operates, right? And then in
Hmm.
last two terms, they offer you a wide range of electives, and you can choose subjects as per your own interest. If I'm
Hmm.
interested in finance, I can select subjects from finance side of things. If I'm interested in IT, I can choose subjects on technical innovation, digital transformation, and all these things, right? And they have very interesting subjects like understanding Bhagavad Gita. So in that subject, they teach you management concepts via the learnings from Bhagavad Gita. So these types of subjects are also there, right? So it all depends upon your interest, how like where you are, what you are interested in pursuing, and accordingly you can select your own subjects and study whatever interests you.
Okay, that was something which I also didn't know. That was really great. Okay. So this shows that how like that I am these institutes, they're also rooted to our mythology, and they also want the students to relate to these things and make things work. Great. Okay.
Yeah, there
So
are great management lessons in Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and we often discuss these with our professors, and
yeah,
there's a lot to learn from everywhere, even from nature. So yeah.
right. Okay. So, like, our last video was with an ISB alumni, and he did a 1 year MBA. So, like, IIMs on the other hand, they both offers both like 2 year and 1 year MBA options. And many students they find it perplexing to decide that if 1 year course gives them the equal exposure. So, like, how should one decide it whether to go for a 1 year or a 2 year MBA?
Okay, so I think Tanvi, it is a very personal choice, and there's nothing like good or bad. It depends on you where you are currently and where you want to go next, right? So
Right.
somebody who's a fresher out of college, they would and they want to pursue MBA, they would want to start from basic because they don't know how corporate world works, right? Or how things happen in a job. So 2 year MBA course is designed for people with less experience, 0 to 4 years. I mean, even with more experience, you can do it, but the ideal experience would be somewhere around 2 years, right? It
Hmm.
starts from a basic level where they'll start building your concepts from the very basic level, and then they'll take you to the advanced level, and they'll give you 2 years time to absorb those concepts, and they also offer you summer internship of 2 months after completing 1 year, so that you can go and apply those concepts and see how it works in the organizations. So
Hmm.
for anybody who's looking for this kind of experience, 2 year MBA is really great. But somebody who already has 5 years of experience, 10 years of experience, understands the some parts of the business, and understands how organizations work, then I would suggest 1 year MBA is best because they start from level two. If 2 year MBA is starting from level one, they'll directly start from level two, assuming that level one you have already learned on your job, right?
Hmm. Right.
So you don't have to spend 2 years on college. In a year only, you can learn those things and then be back into your job. So yeah, it really depends on where you are and what you want to pursue.
Okay. Yeah, I believe also that this is a personal choice. Like, they have to like make a list of pros and cons of both of the courses and see what best suits their scenario. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. So as we know that people they love watching the daily routine videos of the bright students on YouTube. So like addressing this fascination of young aspirants, I would like to request that can you please tell us like what does a day look like in an IIM student's life?
Okay, so again, every student has a different routine, right? I can tell you about mine. How was mine? So my classes used to start at like 8:45 in the morning. So my routine typically was to get up, get ready, and go out for breakfast, then directly head to classes from mess. And after like finishing my classes, I'll have my lunch, come back to my room, and like noon time I used to devote in preparing for next day's classes, because like I told you earlier, there are cases which you have to study,
Mm,
and a case could range from anywhere, like from 3 pages to could be 40, 50 pages also, right? So you have to
mm,
read the case, and then sometimes professors also give you pre-reads, which could be some article related to that particular case or something, and they want you to read it before coming to class. So you have to prepare for your next day's class. That's how I used to utilize my afternoons. In the evening, I generally went out for walk to old campus or new campus. I would go out to some cafeteria, grab something to eat. But
mm,
I liked spending that time with my friends, and sometimes I even used to go and play badminton during the evening time. And then I was part of three clubs. I was part of comedy club and product management club, tech club, and
oh,
I was also part of alumni committee. So generally, the club and committee meetings used to happen from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., somewhere around that time, right? So that time was utilized in club and committee meetings, then dinner, and post dinner we used to meet our study group. So study group is generally a group of 10 people who are put together so that they can discuss their cases for tomorrow's classes, and if there are some group assignments they can do it together. So those, and they can do masti also together, right? So it's not only studying. So those
Mm.
sessions used to stretch up to 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes 1 a.m., right? Post that, we all will go for a walk on campus in night, or maybe with my best friend, I'll go for a walk, and then I'll come and sleep in my room, and next day the same routine.
Okay, quite interesting. Like you have a very balanced day, like not over studying and not over enjoying. You have balanced out everything. And because I think in IIM, all the environment must be very competitive, like people from different areas, and they must have been very prepared before every classes for all the case studies. But apart from that, they are enjoying their lives also, having that night walk that also like releases a lot of tension. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so every student has a different routine. There are few people who like to spend 2, 3 hours in sports, right? So they can do that. So
Mm,
campus, for the professor won't bind you to do a particular thing, especially with a batch like PGPX, which is very senior. The average age of the batch is around 32 years. So these are all senior people. They never try to school you that this is what you should do and this is what you shouldn't do. You can design your routine as per your choice, or you can see what works best for you.
okay, perfect. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So top MBA colleges to provide exciting international tie-ups and how the international exposure at IIM is like. Tell us whether you enjoyed it or not and how it contributed to your experience.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, the PGPX course at IIM-A is specifically designed in a way where the entire term three is known as International Immersion Program. So, during that time, you were supposed to go to a foreign university, could be in UK, could be in Canada, could be in China. So, generally, IIM-A has tie up with, few universities, and you can enroll to any of those. Once you're selected, and few of your friends are also selected, right? All of you can go together, you can stay there, you can study there, you can understand how business works there, and they'll give you a short assignment, you can prepare a presentation and all those things, right? The purpose of going abroad is also not just to understand how business happens in a particular country, but also to absorb the culture and how culture plays a role in your strategy, right? So
Yeah.
this is how the international exposure scene at IMA is, and if I enjoyed it or not. So mine was the COVID batch. So unfortunately, all of it happened for us in a virtual setting. So we did get to learn about the nuances of universities from Canada, Hong Kong, and Britain and Spain, right? But obviously, we missed that part where we could have you know gone to that particular country, and
Mm.
we would have got a chance to learn about their culture. So that part was missing, but yeah, still at least we were able to learn about the business nuances of all these countries.
Yeah, right. Okay, so tell us something about the placement process at IIM Ahmedabad.
Okay, so when a batch of PGPX is enrolled, a class profile is prepared. Class profile is consists of a digital brochure where a short profile of each and every student would be hosted online, and a summarized profile where we discuss that, let's say 40% of the batch is from IT, and 20% of the batch is from manufacturing, 10% is from finance, and so that the recruiters in a glimpse can understand how does the batch look like, right? And then a placement committee is formed. This committee is headed by students only. So there's one professor who's the head of placements. He would oversee the committee, but generally the process is driven by students. So a group of 10 to 12 people would form a placement committee. They'll start contacting recruiters along with the class profile, the digital brochures, and all, right? And it is then again a demand and supply game, right? So your organization must be requiring few people who belong to so and so background with such and such experiences, and IMA campus has that kind of set to offer. So it is a matchmaking that happens between the demand and supply side of things, and then the recruiters, they open their jobs. Like, let's say they'll say we're looking for a chief manager in data analytics department, right? and all the students can apply to that job with their resumes. And once your resume is shortlisted, you have to follow whatever process that company has. Few organizations has like, or have only like 2 rounds of interview, few will have 3 rounds, you will have 4 rounds. So whatever the process is, you have to go through it, and once you clear that, then they'll offer you the that particular job, to which you have applied, and then you are out of the placement process once you get the job. And one more thing I wanted to call out, so not all the courses in IIM-A receive a formal placement support from the institute. There are few courses in which placements are not provided. But in PGPX, we haven't like formally compliant placement process where institute supports you fully to get placed into the organization of your choice.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so the last question of our session, like what tips you would like to give to the future IIM aspirants who are watching this video?
Tips. Okay, so this question is very broad. To all the aspirants who want to get into IIM-A, I would suggest is like first go through what all courses IIM-A offers, right? There's a list of courses.
Mhm.
Try to see where do you fit. If you have 15 years of experience and you don't want to quit your job, so is there any course which is offered on weekends or online, right?
Mhm.
Are you looking for a course which particularly focuses on analytics? Are you looking for a full-time course? Right? Are you a fresher with 2 years of experience, or are you somebody with 6 years of experience? So go through all these courses to understand where do you fit, right? Because most of the times, I receive queries from people that what would be best for me. Nobody can tell you what is best for you. You have to figure it out
Right.
yourself. Sometimes, I mean, I was on campus for a year's time, but there are so many courses which are offered by campus that I don't even know, that this particular course is also offered. And nobody can do that research for you. You will have to do. So first figure out what all courses are offered, where do you fit. Secondly, if you fit in a particular course, let's say PGPX, then read the admission criteria, the selection procedure, right? Be very clear with what, because in few, like, so if you're applying for PGP, you'll require a CAT score. But if you are applying for PGPX, you'll require a GMAT score, right? So appear for GMAT if you have to, like if PGPX is the course of your choice, or appear for CAT if PGP is the course of your choice. And then there are a few courses for which exam is not required, only interview helps. There are few in which you can only apply and your application would suffice, right? So try to understand the admission criteria. Thirdly, so this was your research part. Now you want to connect with people who have already been through that journey so that you can understand from them, how is the course, or you can get some real-time feedback. So don't just connect randomly with anybody who has graduated from IIM-A, because you don't know which course they have graduated from, right? So I am from PGPX. If you ask me for reviews of PGP, or if you ask me for the interview process of PGP, I won't be able to help you there because I've not gone through that journey. So be very clear with whom you are connecting, because that would save you a lot of time. You might so while I was like preparing for PGPX, I can send 10 messages to 10 different people from PGP, right? Asking them to help me with the interview process. But how will they help me when they don't even know about it, right? So that is a waste of time for that particular person who's trying to get into IME. So try to connect to people who have been through that particular course so that they can guide you very well. They can give you some good feedback. Otherwise, it's just waste of time, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, these are three generic tips for anybody who's applying to any course at not only at IIM-A, but any IIM, I would say. So, yeah, keep these tips in your mind and then be prepared, be focused.
Yes. So that was such an insightful session. Thank you so much, Astha, for coming on our show and sharing your experience. And hope this session will benefit a lot of aspirants. And I hope you guys like this video. And for more such content, subscribe to my channel Venya by Tanvi. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks.
Thank you.